Be pro bikini competitor competing in the Olympia weekend coming up in Las Vegas just in a few weeks. Breena, very nice to have you in studio. You're repping the Bay Area. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It is so much fun getting ready for the Olympia and just talking about it with everybody. It's really cool.
I would imagine so, and just like because the Olympia is such like a huge weekend. It's the pinnacle of the fitness industry. I know the convention they do there. It's probably the biggest one in the world, I would imagine. I know the Arnold and the Arnold Europe are probably the second and third biggest. Olympia is the biggest, so everybody's there. Of course, you've got for those that don't know, there is the Bikini Olympia, the Figure Olympia, the Fitness Olympia, and of course, the Mr. Olympia. And this is the first year in a while they're not actually doing the Miss Olympia contest, right? They've actually taken that out of the running. Is that true, or is that just kind of what people are talking about this year?
I think that people are kind of getting it confused because instead of bodybuilding for women, they actually call it women's physique. Which I do believe is still going to be at the Olympia. So I think it's just the terminology that kind of gets confused.
Changing.
Yes.
but for people who don't know, you do the bikini, and there's various divisions. And how would you explain what your goals are for what you are, how you present yourself and the physique that the judges are looking for versus what the competitors in the other categories are trying to do?
Mm-hmm. Bikini is more about feminine, symmetrical muscle. Most competitors should be well conditioned, but not so striated and muscular that it kind of clouds whether or not they are a bikini competitor or figure. So it's a subjective division, mind you, but definitely coming in conditioned and tight, full but not too striated. That's the name of the game.
Yeah. So I would imagine that is there someone who's created so far in this division a certain look that you think the judges are striving for, that other competitors are kind of have seen that competitor have success and they're trying to emulate that, or is it pretty much every person kind of brings their own individual package, and if the judges happen to feel that competitor best emulates what they're looking for, that's the person who's going to win?
Absolutely. I think the current reigning two-time Olympia champion, Ashley Coltwasser, has kind of defined what bikini is. When you look at her physique, she's not overly muscular, but she definitely has beautiful definition, very symmetrical, but still has her femininity about her. And I think that's what the judges are really looking for. And so far, she's won it the last two times. And I'm going to be going head-to-head against her next Friday.
Very cool, very cool. Again, we're talking to Breena Martinez right now here on the Ring Central Guest Line in studio, though. Let me ask you this, like in terms of your training, because I know there's different, everybody has different ideas of what it would take for different competitors, but I'll let everybody know I happen to work out at the same gym as Breena, UFC in Concord, the UFC gym in Concord, but I've seen you doing all sorts of things. I've seen you, doing deadlifting and doing like more of like what looked like a powerlifting style workout, and I've seen you kind of working out with guys who look like they were doing more of a CrossFit style workout. So are you just pretty much across the board, whatever you feel is best for you to gain your physique, or do you, as you get closer to a show, do you try to dial in certain aspects? Does it take on more of like a bodybuilding style of training?
It's a mix of both. I was an athlete my whole life, and so for me, I'm an athlete first who is trying to bodybuild. And I did do a lot of powerlifting at UFC gym. I have a lot of friends that do CrossFit as well, so I've been going to CrossFit End Zone, a new spot that's opened up in Concord with some of my friends doing some CrossFit WODs. And then I head over to Undisputed Boxing Gym in San Carlos, and I've been hitting mitts with Stan and working with strength and conditioning coach James Michael Basil, courtesy of my sponsors from Snack. They put me in touch. Cool. And then just kind of making sure that I'm always training differently so that my muscles are always confused, getting the best benefit. And then as I get closer, now I'm definitely focusing a lot more on bodybuilding, dabbling more in hypertrophy training, and staying away from mitts and all the fun stuff that I like to do.
Like carbs as well, I'd imagine.
Yes, carbs are definitely slowly but surely going away. Cardio is in full force. And really, it's just trying to tighten up and be very conditioned when I step on stage on Friday.
You talked about your history as being an athlete. I know you played college basketball. It started out at a JC, and then you eventually played for San Jose State. But in your JC, you only had 6 members on the team, and it was a 6-woman rotation, and that was when you started to realize, I mean, there's not a lot of subbing going on, so you had were you doing that in conjunction with your basketball practices, doing conditioning on the side to get in better shape, or was it just kind of you got in shape just because you had no choice because you were playing on such a limited squad?
It's a mixture of both. I really enjoy pushing the envelope and taking myself out of my comfort zone. So for me, I had a background in track and field and cross country, so I really worked on my stamina during that time. But honestly, it's the love of the game, man. That second, third, fourth win just comes at you, especially when you have such a passion for the sport. I say it all the time, basketball was my very first love and will always be my first love, and bodybuilding has kind of helped satisfy that competitive itch that I have.
That's cool. What position did you play in basketball, if you don't mind my asking?
I was a shooting guard.
Nice. Nice,
Yes.
Very nice. Are you a Warriors fan as well? Or I know your husband alluded to the fact that you're a Packers fan, so I'm not sure if you have different than Bay Area allegiances. But since the Warriors are everybody's favorite in the Bay Area, I'll ask if they're your team as well.
The Warriors are my team. Go Dubs. I was so happy to see them finally bring that championship home. I'm a huge Steph Curry fan. And yeah, I do also support the Giants. But in football, everyone usually gets at me over this one. How are you not a Niners or a Raiders fan? But I do love my Green Bay Packers.
Can I ask why? Is that just childhood affiliation, or you started watching Brett Favre? Is that, because that's most of my friends that are Packers fans, they just kind of fell in love with Brett Favre. Is that how it was for you? Or
It was definitely a love for Brett Favre's brilliance, but also it was all about the cheesehead, man. Everybody in the Lambeau field was wearing it. Then that was in '96. That was when the Lambeau Leap really started becoming prominent. My very first football jersey ever was a Sterling Sharp jersey.
Nice.
And Reggie White was one of my favorites. So it was just a combination of those things. So I've always been a faithful fan to my teams. And those are it.
Very fair, very fair. Again, we're talking right now with IFBB Pro Bikini competitor Breena Martinez here via Ring Central in studio, competing, of course, at the Olympia weekend. And that's not this weekend, but next weekend, correct?
Yes, and it can't come any sooner.
And I would imagine in the past, bodybuilding.com has done a stream of that. Are they doing that again this year, do you know? Or
Bodybuilding.com is not doing it this year. However, Amazon
Really?
has come aboard, and Flex Online will be streaming it. So it will be streamed this year, and I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, so now that you're getting into these, the last bits of preparation for this, because I think people, they often see the finished product on stage. They don't know that you are gradually decreasing carbs and gradually decreasing, I would imagine, sodium as well. And then because you're not going as much for the striated look, is there still a water drop, though? Because you don't want to be as... I know that you said you have to find that balance where you want to be tight, but you don't want to be, the striated look. So do you have to watch your water the same way that other physique athletes do, or how does that work?
I sure do. Pretty much throughout the course of training, it varies. Like I said, this has been a 24-week prep for me. After
Wow.
I won the St. Louis Pro Show, I immediately put everything on hold as far as other shows and just wanted to focus on the Olympia. So being that far out, I was drinking about maybe 2 gallons of water, and then probably within the last 6 weeks or so, it's gone down to 1 gallon. Next week, it'll start slowly but surely tapering off, and usually on competition day, I don't have any water.
Really? So
No
is that?
water.
And I know you go out there under what are very bright, hot stage lights. And are you dying by the end of it? I mean, I know people always think, oh, you want to go back and have your cheat meal, but are you pretty much just wanting to down like 1 gallon of water right then and there?
Absolutely. The very first thing I want is usually my pre-frozen Pedialyte that my husband has for me.
Just to get all the electrolytes
To
back.
get my electrolytes back and start feeling better. I mean, you just, all you want to do is drink. That's the first thing. And then after that, comes all the cravings.
Yeah, no, I would imagine then you probably, is there a restaurant you've gone to after, I guess in St. Louis you're kind of subject to whatever they had around, but is there a certain food that you always want to have right after a competition?
It's usually barbecue. I'm
Nice.
not gonna lie. I mean, that's the whole reason why I was really stoked when Justin Kinder gave me the sponsorship with Kinder's, because I'm a daddy's girl. When my dad barbecued, I was right by his side growing
Nice.
up. in Hollister, and that's just our thing. And so to be sponsored by Kinder's and to know that right after the show I can go straight there and get my fix of mac and cheese, I'm down.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Again, we're talking right now to Breena Martinez, IFBB pro bikini competitor, competing in next weekend's Olympia weekend, joining us in studio right now. What's the hardest part? Is it the diet? Is it the training when you're on a lower level of calories and carbohydrates? Is it having to live such a disciplined life in the weeks, really? I would imagine the last 6 weeks are significantly harder than the previous 18. I mean, what's for you? What is the hardest part, or do you pretty much go, are you so focused that you don't view it as what's a challenge or what you're depriving yourself of during any point, or is that not possible?
It's tough. I know a lot of people that have aspired to compete and they start and then they stop, because it's just that taxing mentally.
Mm-hmm.
I really think one of the reasons why I fell in love with bodybuilding was because it was a way for me to challenge myself mentally. I've always felt that was my weak point. And through bodybuilding, I've been able to learn a lot more about myself and learn my limits and want to push past those. So I'd say the hardest part is staying mentally strong. Staying connected with people is also tough because it's a very lonely sport. It can be very isolating,
Mm-hmm.
Especially if, most people work a 9 to 5. You either got to train early morning or you got to train in the evening. I do have it a little bit easier because I'm a personal trainer at UFC Gym Concord, so I can make my own hours, but there's still a lot of sacrifice that goes into it. Family events that are missed, and, not everybody always understands that you can't have what they've cooked and things like that. So it can get a little hairy at times, but I think because I'm a personal trainer and have developed a great community of not just clients, but just people that follow the journey and are inspired by what I do, I think that's where sometimes it can be mentally tough because I don't want to let anybody down.
Mm-hmm.
My clients are believing in me and they're basing their results and their success off of what I do. And some people might find that to be a bit taxing and draining, but it does help me to keep going. It fuels me, it motivates me, but there are definitely times where I just don't have the energy, and so I definitely look to my clients and my gym family, my fit fam, to get the strength to continue to endure.
Very good stuff. Again, we're talking with Breena Martinez here in studio. Breena, of course, a IFBB Pro Bikini competitor taking part in the Olympia weekend coming up next weekend. And then for you, is it win or bust, or is there a certain level of expectation that you have of yourself? I know everybody wants to win, and I understand that, but I also know, as you've alluded to, that any sort of physique competition can be very subjective. So for you, is it you either come in first or it's all a wash, or do you say that there's a realistic place range that you're looking for?
Anytime I enter into a competition, it's win. You want that first place trophy. Nobody trains and diets and commits themselves 150% for 24 weeks and want to walk away with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, when it's all said and done, I just want to make sure that I'm representing myself and what I believe in. I want to show people that I practice what I preach, that, my motto, I can, I am, I did. I believe that I'm going to get to Olympia and I'm going to have the best package that I've had for me to date. And as long as I can see that in the stage pics and, my family, my friends, my sponsors, my coach can see that, then I'm a happy girl. Because every prep is different, and I'm really hoping to have the best physique to date, and I feel I'm on track with that.
Awesome, great stuff. We're running out of time here, Breena, but I did want you to give people an opportunity to tell them where. Again, you said it was on Amazon where they can watch. They'll have a stream of it, and you said Flex Online will have a stream of it as well?
Flex Online is going to be streaming it, and Amazon is kind of fronting that to make sure that happens.
Ah, very cool. Okay, and then is the Bikini Olympia on the Friday or the Saturday?
So bikini will be on Friday.
Okay.
The pre-judging will be in the morning around 10 a.m. and then finals that evening at 7. So lucky for me, it's just a one-day show.
Yeah, good stuff. Breena Martinez, everyone, competing in the Bikini Olympia coming up next Friday. And thank you so much for joining me in studio today. I really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, we're going to take a break right now. You've been listening to the show. I'm Ted Ramey. We'll be right back after this.